I'm gonna share my favorite recipes to cook when using wood chunks. All right, here we go. Brisket, pork shoulder. Hey, thanks team. That's a wrap. Let's go ahead on mic. Oh wait, there's more. Of course there's more. I'm Brad Prose from Chili's and Smoky. Today I am partnered with Western Wood and Premium Barbecue Products. We are gonna be talking about more than just brisket and pork shoulder when cooking with wood chunks. Now we have a lot of different videos on how to cook with wood chunks, different foods to pair with the different types of wood. Go check that out. Links in the description. But just a quick highlight, when you're cooking with wood chunks, these will be cooks that are generally longer than 30 to 40 minutes. Now for the sake of this video, we're gonna be talking about charcoal grills and pizza ovens primarily, because that to me is the ideal place for most applications of wood chunks. Now let's kick it off. My first favorite recipe would be smoked burgers. Smoked burgers of any kind. What do I mean by that? You can use bratwurst, you can use ground beef, chorizo, whatever it is. They are awesome with wood chunks. Now, smoked burgers generally take about 45 to 60 minutes at max, depending on how big they are and how many that you're cooking. So you definitely want to use 1 to 2 pieces of wood chunks. To smoke burgers, use a 2-zone setup in your charcoal grill. Put the wood chunks on the warm charcoal and put the burgers on the cool side. You go ahead and smoke those until they're almost at temperature, then move those burgers right over the coals and sear them off to a perfect finish. They're so good. My second favorite would be chicken of any kind, whether it's whole roasted chicken, chicken in a pizza oven, chicken drumsticks, it doesn't matter. Chicken does take a while to cook because the skin needs to get crispy and the meat needs to get to temperature. So that means it could take on a lot of great smoke flavor. Now remember, for chicken, you want to use more mild woods like apple or maple, something to give it that really great tan without overwhelming the whole flavor. Now again, with chicken, it depends on how many you're cooking and what size it is, but I would at least use probably 2 small to medium sized pieces of hardwood chunks. Now number 3 is probably the most popular, or really it is one of my most favorites, is reverse searing. Now what do I mean by that? I mean taking a large steak or roast, putting it off to the side, putting those hardwood chunks in, smoking that till it picks up all that flavor, and then when it's about 10 to 15 degrees from your target temperature, you move that roast or steak right over the coals, sear it to perfection. Now I love to do this with picanha, tomahawk steaks, really thick cuts. You can do it with thinner steaks, but the big roasts really benefit from this process. Aside from the delicious smoke flavor, you get perfect pink center. Now here's where you can go a little bit more bold with flavors if you want to. Pecan, post oak, maybe even a little bit of mesquite. Now aside from beef, you can do big pork cuts, and that happens to be my next favorite. I'm talking ribs, pork belly, obviously pork shoulder. There's a lot of cuts of pork that have a heavy amount of fat, so they're gonna be cooking for a long time to render down that fat and make the pork tender. That is a great opportunity to be adding hardwood chunks. Some of my favorites are hickory, apple, maple, maybe even pecan. Definitely for these longer cooks, 2 to 3, maybe even 4 pieces will last you that whole time, especially if you're doing a very long cook such as pork shoulder. Now you can throw some cherry in there too. Cherry works really well with pork. It's gonna give it that nice ruby red. And last, but definitely not least, would be ham. That's right, ham. But it's already smoked, Brad. Yeah, but when you pull it out of the fridge, it's cold and it needs to be heated up. What better way to heat it up than on a grill? Whether you're gonna be slicing it or even trying to shred it. Yes, shredded ham, it's so good. Use that 2-zone cooking that we're talking about. Put the ham on one side, put the wood chunks on the other. This is where you can get real bold with flavors. Nothing looks better than a ruby red glazed ham. There's so many more recipes that you can use hardwood chunks for. These are just my favorites because they're the ones that come to mind that I cook with all the time, that take longer to cook. I hope this gives you some ideas. Go check out the rest of our channel. We've got lots of tips and tricks on how to cook with wood chunks, wood chips, and make great food. See you guys next time. Cheers.